Hare Krishna. Thank you, Ati Mataji. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Dandavat Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Start with Mangalacharan. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yudhapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namam Vishnupadaya Krishnaprishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyadadeshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavranda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Okay, so the emperor of all the Navada Bhakti. Chanting actually includes everything because chanting, our Acharya says, the emperor of austerity. So actually all the limbs of bhakti are included in chanting. We can chant, we can hear Shravanam, Kirtanam, we can Vishnu Smaran, we can do Smaranam of the Lord, we can do Padasevanam, and we can do Archanam, Vandanam, and we can have our relationship, personal relationship with the Lord during japa and any relationship that we can have, any rasa, sakyam, dasyam, atmanivedanam, so everything is included. But yes, so now we'll continue with our prayer. So today we'll continue with Govinda Samata Stotram verses 51 to 60. So we have been singing this beautiful prayer and Vaishnava song composed by Srila Bilomangal Thakur all through the past month, 10 verses every week. So we have come up to the fifth week now. So we'll do 51 to 60 today. And this week I posted the link in the chat. And I've also shared the screen. So let's go ahead with this. Okay. Tvam eva yache mama dehi jivve samagate dandadhare kritante वक्तव्यमेवं मधुरं सुभक्त्या गोविन्ददामोदरमाधवेति भजस्वमन्त्रं भवबन्धमुक्त्यै जिह्वे रसज्ञे सुलभं मनोज्ञं द्वैपायनाद्यैर्मुनिभिः प्रजप्तं गोविन्ददामोदरमाधवेति गोपालवंशीधररूपसिन्धो लोकेशनारायणदीनबन्धो उच्चस्वरैस्त्वं वद सर्वदैव गोविन्ददामोदरमाधवेति जिह्वे सदैव भज सुन्दराणि नामानि कृष्णस्य मनोहराणि समस्तभक्तार्तिविनाशनानि गोविन्ददामोदरमाधवेति गोविन्द गोविन्द हरे मुरारे गोविन्द गोविन्द मुकुन्द कृष्ण गोविन्द गोविन्द रथङ्गपाणे गोविन्द दामोदरमाधवेति सुखावसाने त्विदमेव सारं दुःखावसाने त्विदमेव गेयं देहावसाने त्विदमेव जाप्यं गोविन्द धर्माधवेति दुर्वारवाक्यं परिगृह्य कृष्णा मृगीव भीता तु कथं कथाञ्चित् सभां प्रविष्टा मनसा जुहावा गोविन्ददामोदरमाधवेति श्रीकृष्ण राधा वरगोकुलेश गोपाल गोवर्धननाथ विष्णु जिह्वे पिबस्वामृतमेतदेवा गोविन्ददामोदरमाधवेति श्री माधवेति गोपीपते कंसरिपो मुकुन्द लक्ष्मीपते केशववासुदेव जिह्वे पिबस्वामृतमेतदेव गोविन्ददामोदरमाधवेति 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 हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम हरे राम 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 हरे हरे श्री गोविंद दामोदर स्तोत्रम की जय। श्री बिल्व मंगल ठाकुर की जय। जगत गुरु श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। Okay, we'll read the translations now from 51 to 60. Anybody would like to do that service today?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I can do.
Yeah, please go ahead.
O my tongue, I ask only this, that upon my meeting the barrier of the scepter of chastisement, Yamaraj, you will utter this sweet phrase with great devotion, Govinda Damodara Madhava. O my tongue, O knower of rasa, for relish from the hellish, for release from the hellish bondage of material existence, just worship the charming and easily obtained mantra that is chanted by Vyasadeva and other sages, Govinda Damodara Madhava. You should always and everywhere loudly chant Gopala Vamshidhara, O ocean of beauty, Lord of the worlds, Narayana, O friend of the poor, Govinda, Damodara, and Madhava. O my tongue, always worship these beautiful, enchanting names of Krishna, Govinda, Damodara, and Madhava, which destroy all the obstacles of the devotees. O Govinda, Govinda, Hari, Murari, O Govinda, Govinda, Mukunda Krishna, O Govinda, Govinda, O behold, O holder of the chariot wheel, O Govinda, O Damodara, O Madhava. Indeed, this is the essence found upon ceasing the affairs of mundane happiness, and this too is to be sung after the cessation of all sufferings. This alone is to be chanted at the time of death of one's material body. Govinda Damodara Madhava. Somehow or other, accepting the unavoidable command of Dusashan, Draupadi, like a frightened doe, entered the assembly of princes, and within her mind cried out to the Lord, Govinda Damodara Madhava. O tongue, drink only these nectarian names, Sri Krishna, dearmost of Sri Radha, Lord of Gokula, Gopala, Lord of Govardhan, Vishnu, Govinda, Damodara, and Madhava. Srinath, Lord of the universe, form of the universe, beautiful son of Devaki, O enemy of demons, Govinda, Damodara, Madhava. O my tongue, just drink this nectar. Lord of the gopis, enemy of Kamsa, enemy of Kamsa, Mukunda, husband of Lakshmi Devi, Keshava, son of Vasudev, Govinda, Damodara, Madhava. O my tongue, just drink this nectar. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Yes. So this is the nectar, and this is the only thing, only nectar that Prabhupada brought when he came all the way to America. And this is the only thing that he asked his devotees, his disciples, to drink the nectar of the holy name. And with that one drop of nectar that he gave, everything transformed in this part of the world and everywhere over the world now we see. So that is the power of this nectar of the holy name. Okay, thank you so much. So we'll continue with our reading of Srila Prabhupada Lilamrit. Last week we transitioned from chapter 22 to 23. The Prabhupada has been in California, San Francisco. We see how he had this Vaikuntha vision where he was able to see anything and everything and able to use anything and everything in the service of the Lord. So we saw how he goes for the walk in the park, and he is able to relate everything with scriptures. And again, that comes by reading the scriptures, by assimilating the knowledge of the scriptures. So that's why he was able to, when there were swans, he was able to relate them to devotees. When there was sky and ocean, he's able to relate them to Krishna, right? Trees and everything in nature is part of Krishna. And his disciples were seeing a new mood and version of Srila Prabhupada as he was going on these walks. And of course, and we see how he was still continuing to utilize his time, waking up at 1:30 a.m. in the night, middle of the night, and continuing his translations. He started to do the translations for teachings of Lord Chaitanya. And he was disturbed by this particular girl. Again, he was able to see and use her, see her as a conditioned soul suffering in Maya, and able to calmly and quietly help her out. So, and then now his transition is now writing this letter to his New York disciples and asking them to continue even though he's not there. And again, he has given them the empowerment that they can, even though they were a little shy in the beginning, now they're continuing to carry forward the classes there in the evening and able to give lectures in the evening in his absence. And Srila Prabhupada said, if you miss me, you can put my picture on the dais, and that way, you can remember me. But I will always be there. So, just as he said to his disciples in New York, he will always be there. He continues to there in his Vani, in his instructions. Okay, so we'll continue to read from here. The letter had helped. So he has written this letter to New York disciples. The letter had helped, especially the second paragraph. Brahmananda had posted it in the storefront. Now Swamiji had clearly enunciated that they were still with him and he was still in New York with them. It was something special, service to the spiritual master in separation. And even the devotees in San Francisco, who were with Swamiji every day, could not yet know its special taste. While the devotees in New York performed their daily duties, they often quoted from the letter and thought about it. Krishna will give you strength. Physical presence is immaterial. Presence of the transcendental sound received from the spiritual master should be the guidance of life. That will make our spiritual life successful. Although Prabhupada had written that they could place his photograph on his seat, no one had a photograph. They had to ask the devotees in San Francisco for one. A boy took some poor color snapshots and sent them to New York, and the devotees placed one at Prabhupada's sitting place in his apartment. It helped. For Prabhupada also, the letter to his disciples in New York marked a milestone. This was the basis on which he hoped to conduct a world movement. He could travel from place to place and yet be simultaneously present in many places by his instructions. Brahmananda, as president of the New York Temple, frequently phoned San Francisco. The chanting is the focal point, he told Hayagriva. We can always sit and chant. We are beginning to understand what Swamiji meant when he said that worship in separation is more relishable. And Srila Prabhupada wrote to his New York disciples regularly. At least once a week, Brahmananda got most of the business instructions, arranged to purchase a new building in New York, see Mr. Kalman, and get copies of the Kirtan record, get a copy of the movie a filmmaker had made of the devotees, investigate the possibility of publishing Bhagavad Gita. If I am assisted by one expert typewriter, Prabhupada wrote Brahmananda, we can publish every 3 months a book. And the more we have books, the more we become respectable. Satsvarupa got a letter from Prabhupada asking him to type the dictated tapes of the new book, Teachings of Lord Chaitanya. Although Prabhupada's typist Neil had gone to San Francisco After a day, he had disappeared. I think you have 5 tapes with you because I have got only 3 with me, Prabhupada wrote. See that the tapes do not miss. Satsvarupa had written inquiring how he would be able to understand transcendental knowledge. You are a sincere devotee of the Lord, Prabhupada replied, and certainly he will bless you with auspicious advancement in the matter of spiritual understanding. Rai Ram got a letter encouraging him to continue publishing the magazine. Back to Godhead will always remain the backbone of the society. Your ambition should always be how to improve the quality. Achyutananda, one of the youngest devotees, only 18, was now working alone in the kitchen. In a letter, Srila Prabhupada wrote to 5 devotees, signing his name 5 times. He told Achyutananda, since Kirtanananda is absent, certainly you are feeling some strain. But the more you serve Krishna, the more you become stronger. I hope you are being properly assisted by your god brothers. Prabhupada advised Gargamuni, also 18, to cooperate with his older god brothers. Asking whether Gargamuni had gone to see his mother, Prabhupada said he hoped she was all right. Since Gargamuni was the temple treasurer, Srila Prabhupada advised him checks should be drawn with full deliberation. Prabhupada wrote Jadurani, I always remember you as the nicest girl because you are so devoutly engaged in the service of Krishna. She had informed him that she had been cheated by a boyfriend, and Srila Prabhupada replied, better you accept Krishna as your husband, and he will never be unfaithful. Devote yourself, therefore, 24 hours in the service of Krishna and see how you feel happy in all respects. Rupanuga had written Prabhupada that the temperature in New York had dropped below zero and that there had been a 2-day blizzard. Srila Prabhupada wrote, certainly, this situation would have been a little troublesome for me because I am an old man. I think Krishna wanted to protect me by shifting me here at San Francisco. Here, the climate is certainly like India, and I'm feeling comfortable, but uncomfortable also because at New York I felt at home on account of so many beloved students like you. As you are feeling my absence, so I am feeling for you. But we are all happy on account of Krishna consciousness, either here or there. May Krishna join us always in his transcendental service. The neophyte disciples in New York felt assurance from their spiritual master's words, and by their own experience, service and separation was a transcendental fact. They were improving in chanting on their beads, and the New York Center was going on. So long our Kirtan is all right, Prabhupada wrote, there is no difficulty at all. But there was one difficulty. Attempts to purchase a new building, which had gone on smoothly while Prabhupada had been present, had become a great problem as soon as he had left. Shortly after Srila Prabhupada's departure for San Francisco, Brahmananda had given Mr. Price $1,000, and Mr. Price had promised to help the devotees get their building. When Prabhupada heard this, he became perturbed. In the opinion of the devotees and the trustees here, $1,000 has been risked without any understanding. I know that you are doing your best, but still there has been an error of judgment. I am not at all displeased with you, but they say that Mr. Price will never be able to secure financial help from any other source. He is simply taking time under different pretexts, changing constantly. Therefore, you should not pay even a farthing more than what you have paid. If he wants any more money, you should flatly refuse. Srila Prabhupada remembered Mr. Price and their first meeting, at which the blonde haired, elegantly dressed businessman, his face tanned even in winter, had addressed him as Your Excellency. That address alone had made Prabhupada distrust him. There was a Bengali saying, too much devotion denotes a thief. Prabhupada knew that businessmen were prone to cheat and that an American businessman would be particularly difficult to deal with. Prabhupada's American disciples were innocent children in worldly affairs. He was ready to instruct them step by step, but now, without consulting him, they had become involved in an unbusinesslike transaction, risking $1,000 of the society's money without any written agreement. Srila Prabhupada had visited the building on Stuyvesant Street and he wanted it. It was a historical, well kept aristocratic building suitable for his New York headquarters. It was worth the $100,000 price if they could afford it. But it was difficult for Prabhupada to know from San Francisco what was going on between Ramananda and the businessman. And the difficulty increased as letters and phone calls from Ramananda introduced other persons involved. Aside from Mr. Price, there was Mr. Tyler, the owner, and Mr. Tyler's lawyer, who seemed independent of Mr. Tyler. And finally, there was ISKCON's lawyer, who also had a mind of his own. Although Srila Prabhupada's disciples usually surrendered to his direction, they seemed bent on listening to the businessman's promises. Even though their spiritual master had cautioned them not to, Prabhupada became disturbed. His preaching in San Francisco was being threatened by fears that the businessman would cheat his society of what he had begun in New York. With no responsible advisors returned to, Srila Prabhupada sometimes discussed the problem with Mukunda and other devotees in his room. They all agreed that the transaction seemed highly irregular. Brahmananda was probably being led on by false promises. Brahmananda, however, saw Mr. Price as a rare person, a successful man who wanted to help the devotees. Although no other respectable businessman had ever shown interest, Mr. Price listened and sympathized, and he would greet the devotees with Hare Krishna. Ramananda was well aware of the humble economic and social position of the devotees. They were almost all ex-hippies, and they were very poor. But here was Mr. Price, a wealthy man with diamond cufflinks, who was always glad to see him, shake his hand, pat his back, and speak appreciatively of the religion of India and the moral behavior of the small band of devotees. Mr. Price had received a group of devotees as guests in his apartment and said nice things about each one of them. He had said that Hayagriva was an excellent writer and that Back to Godhead was the best magazine on the market and that its mimeographed appearance made it look even better than the slicks. He said he would give the devotees a movie projector, and he came close to saying that if he could liquidate some of his money, he would give them the building. Brahmananda, who saw Mr. Price a few times a week, would come away intoxicated with high hopes. The Krishna consciousness movement could rise to success through this wealthy man's patronage. After leaving Mr. Price's office, Brahmananda would rejoin the devotees in the evening and tell them that all that had happened. On the nights when there were no public kirtans, the devotees would hold meetings. Swamiji had named them Ishtagoshtis to discuss the instructions of the spiritual master, and the Ishtagoshtis became dominated by talks of Mr. Price and the building. One night, Brahmananda explained why he had given Mr. Price $1,000. Mr. Price had asked for something to work with. It was like earnest money, and it was also for a trip Mr. Price had to take to Pittsburgh to see whether he could release some of his wealth to use in Krishna's service. One of the boys asked whether there could be any receipt or written agreement. Swamiji had taught them to use receipts, at least amongst themselves. Gargamuni and Satswarupa, as treasurer and secretary, signed each voucher, and Gargamuni kept the vouchers on file. These included requests for items like 50 cents for a hat and $3 for sneakers. Ramananda said he had mentioned a written statement to Mr. Price but hadn't pressed the matter. Anyway, it wasn't necessary or even desirable since they were not simply conducting business with Mr. Price but cultivating a relationship. Mr. Price was a well wisher, a friend who was helping them as charity. He was going to do big things and use his influence to get the building. This $1,000 was just a gesture to show their interest and to show Mr. Price's friends the devotees weren't joking. They had some money. In fact, the devotees had $10,000, 5,000 in small donations, and a $5,000 donation from a wealthy hippie. In addition to donations, the temple had a regular monthly income of $800. Ramananda's $400 paycheck from his job as a substitute teacher for the New York City public school system, and the $400 paycheck Satswarupa earned as a caseworker for the welfare department. But the devotees were in no position to buy any building, and they knew it. All the more reason, Ramananda explained at Ishtagoshti, why they had to depend on Mr. Price. After all, he reasoned, Swamiji himself had inspired them to look for a 100,000 building. Swamiji knew they couldn't pay for such a building except in some extraordinary way, and Mr. Price, Ramananda figured, must be the way. Wanted the building. No sooner had he reached San Francisco than he had written back. I am very anxious to hear about the final decision of this house. I wish to open the house by 1st of March 1967, and arrangement may be done dexterously in this connection. The assembled devotees listened to Brahmananda's explanation, sympathized, and added their own understanding of how Krishna and Swamiji were working. There were a few contrary remarks and opinions, but basically everyone agreed. Brahmananda's dealings with Mr. Price were all right. When Kirtanananda and Rai Ram returned to New York from San Francisco, they consulted with Brahmananda. Then Brahmananda went to Mr. Price, who promised that if somehow they couldn't get the building, he would return at least $750. The balance of the money represented travel in the devotees' interests. But they would get the building, Mr. Price assured him. Then Mr. Price told Brahmananda the latest. He had found a wealthy financier, Mr. Hall, who had almost agreed to pay the full $100,000 for the building. Mr. Price was working on Mr. Hall, who happened to be his close friend. Prospects seemed good, but the devotees would also have to do their part, Mr. Price explained. By putting up $5,000, Mr. Price would then arrange everything else. Mr. Price set up a meeting with an architect on Park Avenue, and soon Brahmananda and Satsvarupa were sitting with Mr. Price and his architect friend, reviewing sketches. To give the building that authentic Indian temple look, the architect proposed a facade with arches, and if they liked domes. It was wonderful. Of course, they didn't dare ask him how much it would cost. But Mr. Price even hinted that the work might be done free. After Mr. Price served himself and his architect friend some liquor and offered some to the boys, although he knew they wouldn't accept it, the two men held up tinkling glasses, smiled, and politely toasted themselves and the boys, saying Hare Krishna. While going down on the elevator, Mr. Price spoke eloquently of the devotees' faith in God. He said that others might argue about the existence of God, but the most convincing thing was the devotee's personal experience. Your personal testimony, Mr. Price assured him, is the best argument. It is a very powerful thing. The boys nodded. Later, among themselves, they laughed about the liquor, but still they figured these men wanted to help. When Srila Prabhupada heard about the latest developments, he did not share his disciples' optimism. On February 3rd, he wrote to Garga Muni, I had a talk with your brother Brahmananda yesterday on the dial. I am glad that Mr. Price has promised to return about $750 in case no sale contract is made. But in any case, you should not pay anything farthing more than what you have already paid, either to the lawyer or to Mr. Price, unless there is actual sale contract made. It appears to me very gloomy about the transaction because there was no basic understanding before the payment of $1,000, either to the lawyer or to the real estate. This is not businesslike. Unless there is a basic understanding, where is the way of transaction? If there was no basic understanding, why so much waste of time and energy? I cannot understand. And if there was basic understanding, why is it changed so quickly? I am therefore perturbed in the mind. When there was no basic understanding, what was the need for appointing a lawyer? Anyway, it is my advice that you should consult me before issuing any further money. But I hope you will make the transaction successful without further delay. Hare Krishna. Okay, let's stop here with this very important instruction by Srila Prabhupada to his very, very young disciples who are learning not just the process of bhakti, but also the process of business from the all-rounder that Srila Prabhupada is. Yes. So again, we see how Prabhupada is saying that, just continue chanting, just continue kirtan, and everything will be all right. And that's what his disciples in New York are continuing to do. And they're able to serve Srila Prabhupada, serve their Guru Maharaj. Serving in separation is even more special as they're reflecting. And the disciples in San Francisco have probably not tasted that taste of bhakti, of serving in separation, because Prabhupada is right there in San Francisco. But the disciples in New York are starting to feel that special mercy of their Guru, even though he's not physically present there. But yes, he's continuing to guide them at every step, even though he's miles apart in the age where there was no internet, no emails, just mails. So even at that point, he was taking so much of time to correspond with them because he had so much of love for each one of them, and we see how he reciprocated with each one of them in their personal struggles. Be it Radharani's boyfriend leaving her as a father. That's how acharyas are. They treat all their female disciples as their daughters, like that book that Malati Mataji shared when she was here, A Bond of Love, Srila Prabhupada's love for his daughters. So similarly, we can see that affection, that love that he had for his daughters. And he's continued to guide all of his other disciples as well in their personal journeys. Those who are secretaries, those who are treasurers, how they should operate. The one who is the temple president, what he should be thinking about. And of course, Krishna will continue to guide if they are sincere, as he said. Just need to have that currency of sincerity, currency of eagerness, and then everything will fall in place. Okay, anybody else has any other thoughts, reflections from today's reading? Anandini Mataji, welcome back. We're all praying for you and I hope you recover well after your surgery. So good to see you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu. I was eagerly hoping to join back, so I'm very happy today to hear you and hear from you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for arranging the college and career series. That's a very nice initiative. So, yeah, as we are learning from Srila Prabhupada, similarly, the series that Anandini Mataji and the teachers team has started at ISKCON Cincinnati, also in a similar vein, like Srila Prabhupada, teaching them, teaching our kids bhakti and also, their education and what their future career paths could look like. So thank you for taking the time, even though you have been kind of recovering from your surgery, but still taking the time to coordinate all that. So last month we had Roop talking on her journey of becoming an attorney, and this month it was Anisha talking about medical profession. So I'm sure the kids, and I know at least talking to Harshika, yeah, they really enjoyed that session. So thank you so much for that service.
Thank you, Prabhu. That's wonderful that the kids were engaged. Adiguru Prabhu had taken it on, and he said there was a good show of 15 to 20 kids that day. So, and they were mostly young. So it's good that the young kids can get an exposure early on before they embark to their high school journey. So that's really nice.
Yes. Thank you so much. Okay, anybody else would like to share anything? Okay. I was also thinking about the lecture the class that His Holiness Krishna Goswami Maharaj gave. I was in the English translation with our English speaking devotees, but I got a chance to hear a little bit, not completely yet, but yeah, I mean, I heard from Meenakshi Moini that he spoke on Shabari's devotion and as symptoms of devotion. That was the topic. And again, the simplicity and the sincerity with which Mother Shabari performed her austerity, right? And we see same thing, similar mood in the disciples, all these female disciples of Srila Prabhupada, who left everything behind, their families, and traveling all the way from Bronx to downtown New York to engage in the process of bhakti, right? How Mother Shabari was cleaning because she was not allowed as a chut or a fallen coming from a backward family. She was not allowed to do any service, but in the night she would at 1:30, just like Prabhupada is waking up at 1:30, she would wake up and everybody else will be asleep and she will perform her service. She will clean up, she'll bring water and keep it, she'll bring wood and keep it close to the ashram. And nobody knew who was doing all that service, right? So her service was visible, but the servant was not visible. So similarly, yeah, Prabhupada inspired all his devotees, all his disciples, and yeah, these young disciples, they continue to serve their Guru Maharaj with sincerity, without um, any need or want for recognition, name, and fame. They were just serving sincerely for his to the instruction that is to their Guru Maharaj had given them. So, a lot of similarities across generations we can see in the qualities of devotees, in the lives of devotees, in terms of what are the lakshan of bhakti, what are the qualities of devotion. So by listening to these kathas, by listening to these glorifications of the characters of these devotees, exalted devotees, we can take inspiration, and even a drop of that inspiration, if we apply in our lives, then with the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and our Guru Parampara and Shri Krishna, may all our lives be perfected. Okay. Right. Thank you so much for your kind association this morning. So we'll conclude here Vaishnava prayers. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyaiva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada Leela Amrit ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol.
Oh, thank you,
Jai.
Prabhuji. Have a great day, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hare